Welcome back. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down the New York Giants 3-round mock draft and all the players that we selected for them in our mock draft series. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and also ring the bell to get notified whenever we release new Giants mock draft. We have Giants 3-round, 7-round, and also just individual mock drafts leading up all the way to the 2024 NFL draft. Also, too, if it's your first time here, help us reach our goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the Super Bowl. We're doing a mock draft for all 32 teams, so about 15 subscribers per video is all we really need. So it's the easiest way to help out and help us reach our goal. So thank you for that. And Ryan, let's get on to the draft here. So Giants picking 6 overall. We contemplated a lot of potentially trading up and what it would take, but the way the board fell out, and as you can see here, Arizona ended up going with Marvin Harrison Jr. So the first 3 quarterbacks were off the board. Then the Chargers ended up going with Brock Bowers. And so that did leave Malik Neighbors, and that was just honestly just too much just to pass up. And so we thought about potentially going tackle Joe Alt, but we tried to focus as much as what we think the team will do. And we do feel that they're going to run it back with Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal, or maybe try and do something in free agency to address that position. But ended up going with Malik Neighbors here, and that is an amazing pick. Like it's, I mentioned all that just as kind of preface of what our thought process were and what we think that they might do. So with all that being said, Ryan, talk a little bit about Malik Neighbors and how well you think he's going to fit into the system.
Yeah, so he is built almost identical to Jamar Chase. He's about 6 foot, 195, 200, just super explosive. I mean, I don't know if you can get more explosive than Malik Neighbors. He just football, like when the football's in his hands, he's gone. He's super hard to bring down. He has great hands. He runs great routes. I'm amazed that if you would have told me, like, put Malik Neighbors in a silo and told me that he is the clear wide receiver 2 in this class, I would have not believed you at all. And to me, I think he's worthy of a top 5 pick. Just absolutely phenomenal talent. And I would be super excited if I'm Giants fans for getting this player. I think you have Saquon in the backfield. Daniel Jones is going to come back. They're going to miss out on probably the top 3 quarterbacks, barring a trade up with one of those teams. And I really just think that they are gonna love Malik Neighbors in New York. I think this is an awesome pick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I will say the Saquon thing, he's going to be a free agent, but they probably will tag him again. Or I think he's proven enough to be like, hey, I just want to spend the rest of my time here. Can you just give me like 3 years or something like that? So
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully he does stay, because him playing with Malik Neighbors would be absolutely insane. Then you throw in Kevin Hyde as well. So let's move on now to the second pick for the New York Giants. And so end up going with Tyler Guyton here. This is where they end up getting that offensive line depth. Just in general, I think they had the second most sacks allowed by a team since the 1985 Philadelphia Eagles. So getting offensive line talent is anywhere they can get it. It's going to be crucial here. So ended up going with Tyler Guyton. I also think, too, potentially they could have gone Jackson Powers-Johnson, but they ended up going – they actually take that back. They wouldn't do that because they have John Michael Schmitz. They
did just draft him.
Yeah.
I could see maybe later on like a Zach Zinter or somebody. But again, after Zach Zinter suffered an injury, he can play at the guard position. For me, part of the reason why we didn't have them go offensive tackle in the first round is Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal are like, I think Andrew Thomas is going into his 5th year and Evan Neal's going into his 3rd year. Yeah, like they are recently invested in assets, and I think that would just be really hard to move on from as an organization. Now, will they do it? I think that's to be seen, and I think they have played that way that they deserve to be moved on from. But I think as an organization, I think they might just relocate their assets somewhere else in the first round. But then to me, Tyler Guyton, if one of those guys goes down, like they both did this year, I think he could plug in and kind of be a really solid swing tackle for this organization, especially in his rookie year. And then if these guys continue to play poorly, then I think he is a potential replacement for them. Especially, I believe he played mostly right tackle in college, and I think he would be a fantastic right tackle at the NFL level.
Yeah. So I think here this is where there's going to be a lot of this good early second round offensive line talent. I think something very similar to what we saw last year, but maybe probably more in the instead of interior offensive linemen
Yeah.
like how it was last year, it's going to be more offensive tackles. So I think that's another thing also too to add on why you go with Malik Neighbors there, or at least your favorite offensive weapon over going with an offensive lineman here. So very well said. Let's move on then to their next pick. They pick again in the second round here. So this is kind of a luxury pick, just 8 picks later. How they go with Jatavian Sanders? We know they have Darren Waller, but Darren Waller is getting up there in age. He also is injury prone. I think a guy like Jatavian Sanders out of Texas, I think he fits in, and you pair him up with Malik Neighbors. Now you got Jalen Hyatt, then you still have Darius Slayton as well. I think that this would provide a lot more options as well. I think hopefully help out the offensive line a little bit. Also, just in a way, as in now you have so many weapons on the field that defenses have to be more concerned about. It takes guys out of the box. No. I meant more just because of his offensive weaponness. But to your point, though, he is a good blocker as well. Probably better than Darren Waller.
Yeah. Oh, definitely better than Darren Waller. Darren Waller's a glorified receiver, at least in my opinion. But no, to me, I think he's the second best tight end prospect in this class. Obviously, Brock Bowers, top 5 pick, at least in our eyes. And I think you look at it, he's a guy that can come in really athletic. He can help in the run game. He's a good receiver. And I just think he'd be a great fit for this offense. So let's move on to their final pick here. We're going to go with Kalen Carson, cornerback, another versatile guy. Just kind of come in, add some depth. They invested in Deontay Banks pretty high up in last year's draft, and I really think Kalen Carson can come in and be a good cornerback 2 or 3 for this team, and at the very least in his rookie season, provide some depth there. And yeah, I just think that's a good pick all around. So
yeah, same here. It's kind of getting to the point because they'd addressed a lot of the key team needs. I felt, which is honestly just skill position players and then offensive line. And so I think they could maybe double dip again here and go with another receiver or pass catching weapon. But they already did that with Jatavian Sanders, so I take that back. But potentially could go on the interior offensive line. But I think then also too, anything defensive wise, the defense overall actually was, I would say, oh yeah, average to above average, I would say, and improving. They're pretty young, and so I think anything defensive wise, I bet it's like who's our top player on the board. You know, let's just go try and find a good corner here, like how we found, or if they don't like this guy, who's a top edge rusher or linebacker. So I think maybe linebacker could be a position that they could touch on a little bit, but they'll definitely be able to address that position in day 3. So let's wrap up here. Let's kind of quickly review. So with the 6th pick, their first round pick, they went with Malik Neighbors. They then did end up addressing the offensive line, getting Tyler Guyton. And then a couple picks later, a nice little luxury pick, Jatavian Sanders here, another pass weapon for Brian Dable to utilize. And then they rounded out their 3-round mock draft with Kalen Carson at the cornerback. So in general, I like this draft overall. I mean, anytime you get Malik Neighbors and then Jatavian Sanders, I think because that's the biggest thing overall is just last year, the entire offense was, I think, just void of explosiveness. And a lot of it was due to injury, but then also a lot of it too was the offensive line was just atrocious overall.
Yeah.
So I think adding some more of those explosive weapons, defenses are now going to have to respect the receivers on the outside. We saw this happen with Cincinnati. It's like the offensive line still wasn't good, but Jamar Chase was so effective and so efficient that you had to take guys out of the box and they had to provide less pressure. So took a little bit of pressure off that offensive line. So we'll have to see how much it actually does help. But in general, though, Ryan, what are your final thoughts on the Giants mock draft?
Yeah, I mean, I would be really happy with it. Obviously, we made it. So I just think, to me, I just think you add an elite playmaker in Malik Neighbors. You added some offensive line depth there. And then you got Jatavian Sanders, as you said, a little bit of a luxury pick. And then you added to that secondary depth. And I just think all in all, that's you got 4 really solid players, a few of which I think have real superstar potential at the NFL level. So let's go ahead and wrap up this 3-round mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this New York Giants 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know what you would do differently. And on that, we'll see you guys next time.